Nick Wright, Brandon Marshall. Salute to you, Kevin Wildes. Nick, I'm going to get to your well-being in just a second, but Brandon, you called it. Are you going to take it easy on your guy Nick Wright this morning? The guy needs some love. He needs some love today.
Jenna, he needs a lot of love. Look, when your brother's hurting and he's down, you don't ever turn to your brother and say, I told you so. You never say that. I told you so, buddy. I told you.
Jenna, I don't know if you guys can see because it's far away, but right there on my lapel is Tweety Bird. And you know why? We're on to Space Jam, America. Get revenge in Space Jam in a couple months. Ain't nothing to worry about here. Monstar's up next.
Okay.
Let's do it.
That's how you know we got some problems. That's how you know right there, America. All right, we got to dive into this, though, Nick, before Tweety Bird. Lakers faced an elimination last night against the Suns, and, well, you know it. This wasn't pretty. Lakers had no answer for Devin Booker, who put on a 47-point performance last night to help the Suns win, to help them move on, and to send the King packing the first-round exit ever for LeBron. Remember, he was a perfect 14-0 in round one, but he couldn't fix all the problems that ailed the Lakers this season. What was the big problem? Brandon called it. His co-star, Anthony Davis's health. Anthony Davis started last night. He could not finish the game. Afterwards, LeBron James.
The one thing that bothers me more than anything, we never really got an opportunity to see our full team at full strength, either because of injury or COVID or something going on with our ball club this year. We could never fully get into a rhythm and never really kind of see the full potential of what we're capable of. And but all in all, I give my hats off to everyone on this team who showed up every day to work, showed up every day to compete, showed up every day to put in the time and effort, and obviously fell short of our goal, but try to do everything we could to be as good as we could be, as great as we could be under the circumstances. And also also want to, shout out Phoenix too, Monty Williams, Book, and that team. They were excellent throughout this series, all of them. So much respect.
Yeah, no undershirt. Nick, what was the main reason you think the Lakers were eliminated by the Suns last night? Can you point to something?
Well, the reason they lost this series, there's two very clear and obvious reasons. One is the one Brandon was harping on all year long, and he was right about. And that's the lack of reliability on Anthony Davis's health. It's obvious this series, the two games the Lakers won, AD was excellent. The four they lost, two of which essentially he didn't play in, two of which he was bad in. So that's part of it. But the other side of it was the point I had been making all year, which was I don't really think they need a great Anthony Davis in many of these series because they have playoff LeBron James. And the Lakers did not have playoff LeBron James this series. And that, to me, is the most interesting question moving forward about what will be the final act of LeBron's career. What was this playoff series the canary in the coal mine as far as what LeBron is going to look like in years 19, 20, 21? Or was this playoff series a guy who said, I can be at 90-some%, who was actually at 50% after the ankle injury? This was the worst playoff series LeBron James has played in his life other than the 2011 finals against the Mavs. And I kept waiting and thinking he was saving something for the end to where you would see him do what he has done in every elimination game for a decade. Attack, take over, get to the rim. And he wasn't able to. And when he did get to the rim, he didn't have the burst. Now, some will say that's because he's 36 in year 18, and maybe they'll be right. I think it's more likely when we saw him just 9 months ago, when he was almost 36 in year 17, dominate a finals, that he was never even close to 75% off the ankle. But with AD playing well for 2 games in this series and then being hurt, as Brandon unfortunately kind of predicted, and LeBron not looking anything like any version of LeBron we've seen in the playoffs for a decade, Lakers were cooked. And Devin Booker, you know, going NBA
Right.
Jam on fire certainly didn't help. So that's what happened. It's not that complicated. And I do give Brandon credit. And I think this is where, and I'm not trying to filibuster here, Brandon, but let me be sincere here for a moment. The whole idea of like this show and a lot of these shows are, you have a guy like me who studies everything and watches everything and learns it that way, and a guy like you who watches and studies, but a lot of your experience comes from having done it. And you as the athlete who has been banged up, who has seen when a guy's body isn't right, you were far more concerned than I was willing to be that Anthony Davis just ain't going to be right this year. And that was crystal clear this postseason, particularly last night.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, when you deal with injuries like that and you got a fragile guy, I hate to say it this way, but a mindset that can be fragile and the body can be fragile. You put both of those together with the year he's having, it's a recipe for disaster. But here's the deal, Nick. I want to go back to your LeBron James point. You know, LeBron James can have the same exact year, all right, with Anthony Davis playing at extremely high level. The Anthony Davis play that we saw in the bubble last year, and they win the championship. That's probably the most frustrating thing for LeBron right now is he knows he's to the end. This is his last act. And you see Anthony Davis hit the big shot in the bubble. You see Anthony Davis down the stretch put up 30 points, 10 rebounds, a couple assists, get a couple of steals, couple blocks. And then this year, you're just waiting on that. Because what we said last year, what we said before this year is it's time for them to ascend and go to another, for LeBron James to evolve. LeBron James should be Magic Johnson at this point. He should be able to win another championship or two Wilds, being that facilitator, being that leader. But it had to be all on his shoulder. So the answer is, the biggest reason why they lost this series is because of AD, right? What Nick just said and what I've been saying all year, inconsistent. His play when he was healthy, and then being unhealthy and being unpredictable there. And then the second thing is this. The Suns were the better team, given all this stuff the Lakers was going through. Coming into this series, they were the better team. Hats off to CP3. Flowers to CP3, Wilds. He took this organization and transformed them in the 70 days, 80 days. Think about that. That is magical.
Okay, so first, before I talk to you, Brandon, and you, Jenna, or you, Nick, I'd like to talk to the audience. Stay tuned, because what you have right now is the beginning of a LeBron marathon. And we saw Nick come out in mile 1, just a little 9-minute pace. Just check it out. Oh, I'm here. Don't worry, everybody. You know what? Hats off to Brandon. Good job. Hey, you know what? No big deal. Hey, no, we should appreciate him. It's all good. Stay tuned. It is going to turn out into a full-on sprint, everybody, with what? Gatorade, you're throwing it on yourself. Full-on sprint. So stay tuned. It's a feel-out game. Because, Nick, I think you should touch on the feel-out, just like this. Yeah. It's a little like, Mahomes back in Okay.
Yeah, that's why my dad.
I think you did touch on the biggest question, right? Because we know the what, the Lakers lost. So now we get to the so what. What does this actually mean? And the question is this a blip or is this a trend? Is LeBron going to be back looking like the king, being awesome, dunking and distributing and hitting threes now? Or is this not the beginning of the end? Are we sort of in chapter 2 of the end? I thought Mark Stein went up to 10,000 feet and said, hey, let's look at the last 3 years of LeBron's tenure here. We missed the playoffs, won a chip, and now lost in the first round. And we know that he's been the greatest human walking the earth at playing basketball for over 2 decades. But there's also an emphasis on the word human. We know that he finished not too many shots at the rim, Nick. He didn't get to the line a lot. He hit a lot of threes. So optimistically, we're seeing a new LeBron. This is like, oh, you're in your kind of, Larry Johnson phase where you used to be this dominant physical force and now you're making 4-point plays. Pessimistically, yeah, LeBron. Well, I called Larry Johnson because you guys took an L too, so it's like a nice combo.
Yeah, okay. All right. Yeah.
But optimistically, we saw how LeBron is going to play. And I think he could play till he's 40 like this. So I guess the big question for me is, coming out of this, do you feel pessimistic about LeBron's future to win the championship?